Well, this painting is all about light and dark and the contrast of lights and darks together. So what we want to do is get some really nice darks against some really white paper, and to get the maximum contrast there. So what I'm doing here is I've already painted in the sky, and it's darker on the left hand side than on the right, just to provide some variety to it. And I'm adding some dark colours now, a variety of dark colours again, to the walls of the barn. So I'm going to treat all of the walls as one shape and work across, just putting in different colours in there just to bring a nice variety of it. Now as they dry out, even though they're quite dark, they will lighten off, and that's not a problem, because then I can go in with another colour on top as a glaze just to darken them down and to bring even more variety and a little bit more unity to them if they're looking a bit like a rainbow. If I put a glaze of colour over the top, it'll help to just unify the colours and bring them together. So I want to just work across the shapes, just bringing in different colours and moulding them in. You can see that some parts of the barn are quite light. It's not just a dark black hole right the way across, but there are some light parts to it as well, which just break that up and provide a bit of interest where the sunshine is just coming on it. So we want to preserve those and leave a bit of lovely colour mixed in with the darks there. Now this side of the barn has got a glass window pane or something in it that is picking up the reflection of the trees, and it's a really nice feature of this painting. You can imagine if the whole of the side of that barn was a dark colour, then the whole thing would begin to look like a black hole. But this sort of window just provides the break that's needed, really. It just provides the bit of light relief, literally, into the side of the barn there. So this dark area here is picking up the reflection of the roof of the barn in the front there, and then we come in with a few little branches of the trees which just picked up in the reflection, and finish those off with a rigger brush just to get the fine branches put in there, and that provides a nice little feature within the painting. Now while I've got the dark paint on the brush, I'm going to put in the rest of the darks. If you can do lots of a painting without having to change the colour on your brush, it just speeds the whole process up. So while you've got a dark colour on the brush, go in and do the darks. While you've got a blue colour, do all the blue bits. Whatever it is, you can just actually speed up the process of the painting. And I've just watered the paint down a little bit here, and just coming in with a glaze over the top, just to darken those colours down and unify them, just to bring the whole thing a little bit darker, so it shows up against the snow. Put some on here as well, and it just alters the colour a little bit, just tones everything down and brings everything together. Now here we've just got the shadows coming in, which is a very nice way of delineating the roof. We've got nice sort of purple shadows here, which just delineate the white snow that's on the roof there and show up one barn from the other. Just tickle in the rest of the branches there with the rigger brush. There we go. And with the rigger brush and some dark paint, I'm just going to put in the rest of these trees. Just pop them in. Rigger brush is great for doing things like this. You can just pop in the trees there, and they come out nice and thin and rather jagged and rather natural looking. Now while I've still got that dark on the rigger brush, I'm just going to flick in some of these grasses that are here. Just breaks that area up and links it to the barn. But you can see how when we've painted the dark of the barn, we've already got the lovely white of the snow without having to do anything else to it. A few more sort of branches and trees going in here. We don't want to mess around too much with detail, but just put in enough to really create some interest. And you can see how quickly and easily it's done. Even detail can be done very quickly in these paintings. Popped in the windmill. And now we're coming just to do the foreground. The foreground is composed of problems for people. They worry about what do we do with all this foreground area. But here I'm just going to slap on some shadow colours really. So we've got some blues, got some purples. I'll put in a little bit of warm colour, a little bit of an ochre as well, just to lighten it up. And I just want to put in something that's very, very, very pale. Don't want to darken it down too much, but something that just creates interest and covers up quite a lot of the white paper in a very pale way, and just makes it look as if there's bits of shadow there and areas within the snow, just creates an interest really. So there won't be much here in the foreground apart from these very loose wet in wet washes. And later on I'll pop in a couple of branches and twigs as well, just to create a little bit of interest, and some rocks and the fence. But that's it really. The rest of it is just slapped on colour really, that's just allowed to merge together and to dry. So a bit of purple gone in there, just water that down with a brush there, just dampen down the edges, trying to keep it going very smoothly. Put in a bit of ochre there, and just again, just with a damp brush, just wash that in, trying to keep the whole thing wet and flowing. I don't want too many hard edges here. Put in a line there and just wash it out, just keeping everything very wet really on the paper. This area here has got some hard edges, so I just want to brush over those, and just wet the brush again and slap some more water on. Just want to keep the whole thing smooth. We don't want too much rough snow here. Dab off any excess there with a tissue, and that'll do me for the snow. You can see here I've put the fence in and a few little twigs and their shadows, painted in the rocks, and I'm just finishing off now by just putting on the rest of the twigs around the rocks here. Just provides a little bit of foreground interest and balances out the dark shapes of the barns in the background. And with the back of the brush, just dig into those rocks and lift out some of the paint just to create some light lines against them. And then again with the dark paint on the front, just tickle some of that into the foreground there, just to make the rocks sit on the ground. And that's, for me, is the painting just about finished.